If Dark Souls is so good, how come they never made a Dark Souls 2?
Yeah, but they did though.
Shut up. Hey there, kiddos, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Uncle Frank, and that you are having a great day. And in today's video, I'd like to sit back in my kind of squeaky chair, relax, and have a little conversation with all of you guys about 2025. That's right. As the year comes to a close and we welcome 2026 into our open arms with all of its news and releases and brand new cards, I figured it's only appropriate that we try to take an objective, or at least a potentially objective, look back at the year that was and just have a little conversation about how it went. What went right in the world of cards, what went wrong, and give my overall thoughts on it. So, if you're up for that, take a seat yourself and, suppose let's dive right on in and just give my thoughts on all the various card games. There's been a lot's happened in 2025. So, first things first, let's talk about the big one, Magic the Gathering. Right? Obviously, the grandpappy of all games is still kicking, and it has had an absolute roller coaster of a year. All things considered, it's didn't start off the strongest in my opinion, but by the middle of the year, by summer, Magic really hit its peak, I think, in terms of fervor, or at least as high as it's been in the game's inception. I'm of course referring to the Final Fantasy Universes Beyond set release, which was Wizards of the Coast says it is the best selling product ever, and I'm inclined to believe them, especially with all the secondary market buzz and everything I've heard from every other store I've talked to, seller I've talked to, etc. Final Fantasy did extremely well. Those collector boxes are a bit down from their peaks, but they're still way above MSRP with quite a lot of value in them still to this day. And, I know that I don't like to speculate on the future. I don't like to do oh, I think this item will be worth this much or so how in this many years. But I do firmly believe, just looking at Final Fantasy in isolation compared to the other sets of the year, it definitely feels like the strongest product with the highest potential for the future that Magic has had in a very long time. Now, of course, there's plenty of other things they put out this year. The Avatar Jumpstart set, Avatar Universes Beyond set, which has a Jumpstart, so that's fair. Did fairly well, all things considered, but they also had some duds. I mean, you guys know what I'm going to say, Spider-Man. I'm still not overly negative on this set, just because I do believe that demand will surge once Marvel comes around with the other boxes. But yeah, I did say that Magic has had a roller coaster year, and Spider-Man is part of that roller coaster. It's the part where it's going down. Spider-Man had a very hectic release. It started off with the same kind of hype and speculation and fervor that Final Fantasy had in the early days leading up to its release. And I think kind of fueled by speculation, Spider-Man got an unfair treatment, I think. And what do I mean by that? Final Fantasy did so well, amazingly well. It was $1,000 not too long after release, right? Not that long after release. It was crazy, and people were clamoring for more of it. I think a lot of speculators looked at Spider-Man, and they didn't evaluate the set based on what was in it. They didn't look at the power level or the availability or the lack of serialized cards or anything like that. They didn't even look at the fact that this was a really small set. They just saw Universes Beyond Collector Booster released right after Final Fantasy, effectively, and said, that's obviously going to be $1,000 item too. Purchase. And then, the set came out. Things didn't work out how they thought it would. And slowly but surely, the price crept downwards to its current point under 400. It's not that great. But yeah, Magic, sorry. Pokemon, I'll do Pokemon next. But Magic's been up and down this year with some really high highs and some really low lows. Shortly after Spider-Man, we got the Avatar box, and for all intents and purposes, from what I'm seeing and what people are saying online. Avatar is not doing amazing, but it's still doing pretty good as a set, and people are still positive about it. I think it helps that Avatar is a bit more, I don't want to say like popular, because I don't think Avatar is more popular than Spider-Man, but I do think the people who are fans of Avatar have less avenues to express their interest. Spider-Man, I mean, there's Spider-Man merchandise for everything, right? There's not a whole lot of Avatar merchandise out there. So I think that helped a bit. But yeah, let's talk about Pokemon now. Pokemon, oh boy, this was a really strong year for Pokemon in terms of prices, right? Maybe not a strong year in terms of brand image, well, with the fights breaking out in parking lots and people trying to get into fist fights over vending machines just to get a hold of a bit of Pokemon product. It's been a hectic year. The Scarlet and Violet era came to a close with Destined Rivals, and technically the black-white boxes are part of Scarlet Violet, I think. Black Bolt and White Flare. But yeah, Destined Rivals was an absolute home run of a set. In my opinion, one of the best Pokemon products we've had in a very long time. At least for what it's worth, in my opinion, I'm really fond of the set, and I think I'd like to get them a hold more. But it's not like it was unchallenged. There has been some really strong Pokemon stuff in these last 12 months. With the Mega Evolutions blocks starting off with a bang with those brand new gold rare cards, or whatever the hell they're calling them. The Mega Evolutions came out as a really strong set. Core set, sure, but a really strong core set. And then it was immediately followed up by a frickin' Charizard set of all things, which did amazingly well. Kind of crazy that the special illustration rare was more desired than the gold rare for that one. I noticed that pretty much right away, and it was kind of crazy to me. But the hype for Pokemon has kind of died down a bit. People are moving on to other things, and don't you worry, we'll get to that. But as people move on to other things, Pokemon is starting to see a bit of a slowdown. Not losing money, it's not going to zero, but it is slowing down in terms of upward momentum. And that has some people spooked, especially, winter is not a great month for TCG sales and profit taking, so that's got some people worried. Combine that with some other things in the overall economy at large. No, this is a TCG video. I'm not going to talk about silver here. There's some interesting things going on. But Pokemon's had a really strong year in terms of just the sets that have been coming out have been great, in my opinion. The hype, FOMO, freak out have all been great. And there's no denying it, in my opinion. That Pokemon is like the de facto winner of 2025 in terms of market share. And for good reason. Again, resurgence in popularity combined with generational interest combined with some really solid sets just makes for a really solid year. There is speculation going forward, but I don't want to talk about 2026 because I feel like I should cover those in another video. But yeah, the upcoming anniversary set's probably going to be a banger too. Let's talk about Yu-Gi-Oh now. Yu-Gi-Oh has had the opposite of a Pokemon year. You guys know that I've ragged on Yu-Gi-Oh a lot. I rag on Yu-Gi-Oh all the time. It's had failure after failure for sets with every single box coming out and losing 50 or more % of its value basically overnight. And that's crazy to me for such a large game that's been around for so long. Konami really feels like they just can't get a grip on Yu-Gi-Oh. They are spending so much time missing the mark, so to speak. I'm not going to talk about any set in particular, although I do like some sets that came out this year. Alliance Insight, I think, is my favorite. So my favorite set is probably Alliance Insight. My favorite product is the Legendary 5Ds decks, which was really solid for its price tag. A $30 box, has 3 decks inside, some really nice reprints that a lot of people have been clamoring for a while. Some chibi art, a throwback to Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds, which is one of the more popular series from the past, a really popular time period for the game itself. But I also like Alliance Insight, so. Or, was Supreme Darkness this year? I don't think it was. I think I'm crazy. Ignore that one. But yeah, overall, The game itself has not been that great this year. Konami spent some time trying to throttle retro formats and trying to get stores to not allow retro format play in their stores, which did not go well. You guys saw how that went. Pretty aggressively, they tried pulling a Wizards of the Coast and throttling what their players could do, and that just didn't work. So they came up with a new plan, and it's called the Genesis format. And for what it's worth, Genesis has come out to a resounding success as far as I'm aware. There's been a lot of chatter around it. A lot of people are excited for the format, have been playing it. They have been updating the point system for Genesis fairly regularly. And that gives the format the feel of being really alive, really vibrant. And while Yu-Gi-Oh! Has had an overall weaker year, I do think the inclusion and announcement of Genesis overall has been a positive thing for the game. So there's that. I just want to say that. I'm not going to talk about any of the stuff coming out next year, but there is some stuff in Yu-Gi-Oh's Horizon to be excited about. Just going to say that. Oh, and the Retro Collection, the video game for Yu-Gi-Oh! Came out, and it had promo cards in it, and that was really cool. I thought that was neat. Next up, let's talk about my other... Is it my favorite card game? No, there's Mega Man. Let's talk about Flesh and Blood. Flesh and Blood has another card game that's had ups and downs this year, like Magic the Gathering. Some sets, like The Hunted, High Seas, have been really sought after. Really good stuff, really nice foiling. There's been a lot of chase cards in High Seas, especially with the box topper pack. Some of the cards you can get out of there are insanely ludicrous in terms of secondary market price. I'm never going to pull one, but man, I would like to. The Hunted had some really solid cards in it, really supported Assassin as an archetype. And then there's other sets like Super Slam, which it's kind of trailing behind the rest in terms of interest. Mastery Pack was brought to the forefront, which is a new kind of product they're trying out. A bunch of really solid armory decks have released this year. Some of them highly sought after, some of them not. But overall, I think it's been a really strong year for Flesh and Blood as the game continues to grow. The biggest thing for Flesh and Blood this year was obviously the inclusion and creation of the Silver Age format and integrating it into Flesh and Blood going forward, which is really cool, really positive. Overall, for those of you who are unaware, Silver Age is basically their revised Young Hero format, but it's also an accessible format because it's rares and... No, I think it's commons and rares only. Right? Yeah, no Majestics, no super rares. So it's a really affordable format where people get to be a bit more experimental with the heroes they play. And I'm super excited for it. I've played a bit of it. And I know lots of other guys out there online are super excited and interested in playing it. We're going to see a lot more of it next year because the very next set is going to be designed around that. But again, that is next year, so I don't want to talk about that. Let's move on to One Piece. Yeah, One Piece. This is going to be a longer video, I think. One Piece is the new hotness. I'm not going to talk about any set. I'm not going to talk about any cards. Not even the baseball Luffy. Not going to talk about it. It's not my business. I don't know jack or squat about the One Piece TCG's market movements right now because I'm not spending that money on a baseball card. It's not really a baseball card. It's a Luffy dressed like a baseball pitcher. But man, that is a lot of money. But anyway, One Piece is the new hotness. When a lot of people were leaving Pokemon, they have moved on to One Piece as the new hot investment. And all things being fair, it is a popular series with a long history, lots of story to go with it. And it does have a lot of genuine fans. And I've already talked about being careful with One Piece, so if you want my opinion on One Piece in general, go watch that video. But I will say One Piece has definitely had a spiked year with a lot of interest going into it in the last few months. So that's overall pretty positive for the game. Let's talk about some games I'm not so positive on. Star Wars Unlimited. Star Wars Unlimited lagging behind. The Carbonite booster boxes did not save it. We've talked about this before, but yeah, Carbonite boosters are super undervalued in terms of price. And the regular booster boxes are just not doing that great right now. They're basically struggling to stay above water and failing miserably. Which is a good thing, I suppose, if you have a lot of faith in Star Wars. I will say now is a great time to be picking at some of those boxes. If you think Star Wars is here for the long haul, I'm rooting for you. I really am. I hope that the game does great. But man, all the things I'm looking at just don't look great for it. Lorcana was looking pretty weak at the start of the year too. Was not doing all that great in terms of interest in secondary market stuff. Obviously, I don't know about the metagame. I don't play Lorcana a whole lot, so I'm not going to talk about that. But I will say at the tail end of the year, with Whispers in the Well, that set looks great. A lot of people are really excited about it. A lot of people I've talked to online are really want to get a full collection, a master set of that for some reason. I don't know why. Probably there was a new rarity at some point this year or something. I probably should pay more attention to that kind of stuff. But yeah, there's a lot of people excited about it. And I completely forgot to talk about this in my Lorcana video a bit ago. But Lorcana had another PvE box set this year that a lot of people apparently really liked. And I think PvE is cool, and I want to see it for Flesh and Blood, but I'm glad that Lorcana got it. Some other things, Force of Will, Weiss Schwarz, Shadowverse Evolve, they exist. They're doing fine. They're trucking along. Weiss Schwarz is up or down based on the individual set. Some sets do amazingly well at release. Others kind of exist. Shadowverse Evolve, I know basically nothing about the card game yet. I'm trying to get a hold of some of it to play, but it is what it is. Force of Will continues to be the best seller for me. I think I've mentioned this before on my channel, but basically Force of Will as a card game is what's is the most profitable for me. And every time a new set comes out, I'm just like, all right, might as well buy some of that because Force of Will, it's going to make me money. Sooner or later, that's going to bite me in the butt, but for now, it's continued to do really well. It's just not a... No one around here plays it, so I can't really talk about it. And nobody I talk to online has an opinion on it either. So if you're still watching 16 minutes into the video, let me know if you have an opinion on Force of Will. I actually do want to talk about it. I just don't have a lot of people to talk about it with. Beyond that, Riftbound came out really strong, and Gundam came out swinging. So there's been... there was also a Godzilla game and another game that came out, Chrono, something that I'm forgetting. But there's been a bunch of new card games released this year. The My Little Pony new card game was announced. So there's been a bunch of new games in addition to a lot of the old stuff that have been doing really solid. So overall, what do I think about 2025 as a year with all of that said and done? I liked it. I liked it a lot. There were some things I didn't like. Magic the Gathering's had some embarrassments, not just Universes Beyond as a whole, but things like the Monster Hunter Secret Lair situation. The lore has not been great. Pokemon's been really solid, but again, that public image thing with the fights and such breaking out. Yu-Gi-Oh's been kind of embarrassing. Flesh and Blood's been pretty solid. There's been ups for card games, there's been down for card games. But overall, I think this is a very positive year with a lot of fervor, a lot of excitement overall for the space, the hobby, etc. And I can only hope that that general energy carries over into next year. No, I'm not calling for fistfights to break out over One Piece, Luffy baseball cards in Target parking lots. But I am hoping that the overall excitement and the hype and the love of TCGs continues to carry over into 2026. Because remember, a thriving secondary market is a healthy secondary market. Energy, excitement, etc., all good things to see. But those are just my opinions. Those are just my thoughts. As I kind of wrap up the year and talk about my overall thoughts. I thought it was good. But I don't know. I'm rambling at this point. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Please like, share, and subscribe to the video. I'd appreciate it so very, very much if you do. If you want more Frank content, check out the Patreon. If you want to chat with Frank or others, check out the Discord. Thank you guys so much. If you're still here 19 minutes into the video, thanks again for watching. I'll see you guys next time.